Hey, I'm Gretchen Rubin. I am co-host of the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast. And in a second, we're going to be joined by my co-host, Elizabeth Kraft. But in the meantime, tell me, where are you watching from? We love to know. And in honor of our book, for our book club that we're going to be talking about today, Home Cooking by Lori Coleman, answer this in the comments. Have you been cooking more than usual? Or have you been cooking less than usual? I bet more people are cooking more than usual. Maybe you're cooking bread or something else kind of more ambitious or unusual. But now let's get Elizabeth on and see what people have to say. She's still joining. So again, we are going to be talking about this book, Home Cooking by Lori Coleman. I know you're seeing it in reverse, but such as Instagram. And the question is, are you doing more cooking, less cooking, the same cooking, no cooking? What is your cooking situation these days in honor of our book, Home Cooking? I'm waiting for Elizabeth to join. It's so fun to see where in the world everybody is, because it gives us a great feeling of just sort of like being part of such a huge community. I'm looking to see if Elizabeth snuck in here without me seeing her, but I don't see her. Huh. Ah, there she is. Somebody says, oh, YouTube is a great teacher, says someone. Oh, someone's in Australia, someone's in Massachusetts. Oh, oh,
Can you hear me?
okay. I can. Yeah, sorry.
So I'm having internet issues for some reason. So
okay. If you
if
drop
you
off,
lose me,
I'll let you rejoin. So I was just asking people if they are cooking more or cooking less or cooking differently in honor of the book club book. Oh, somebody's from Kansas City, Missouri. Yay.
oh yay.
Oh, someone says I have more time to choose ingredients. Well, that's true. Like maybe it's easier to do meal planning because you have a little bit more. I feel like meal planning is one of those things that it's very easy for it to get squeezed out, even though in the end it ends up taking more time if you don't plan. And this is a great thing. This is a good time. Oh, someone says cooking a lot in New Mexico, cooking more.
A lot of people are baking more. Who's baking more? I'm sure you've heard, Gretch, about the run on yeast, right?
Well, Eliza made 2 loaves of bread on this weekend. I was like, you're very on trend. And she couldn't get the kind that comes in the packets that you usually get. She had to get live yeast. I don't even know how that works, but I was like,
Sarah has.
Yeah, right. You've been doing more cooking, or you were doing more cooking. Maybe your inertia affected your cooking.
Yes, I was roasting vegetables almost every day. And then, a little inertia set in. So I haven't done it for many days. I've been making pasta for Jack, if that counts as cooking. I mean, heating it up and, boiling it. I count that.
Yes. Someone says less cooking since my family are home with me. They are mostly cooking for everyone. Well, that's great, because I think Jamie, who loves to cook, has definitely been cooking more. Someone says, I missed the book club book. The book, and I know it's reversed for you, is called Home Cooking by Lori Coleman. If you get interested in this and you want to go read it after we talk about it. Someone says, I'm taking the time to create new cocktails. Ooh, well, I've always thought, like, all the people who create, like, this is the person who created like Lobster Thermidor, or, sometimes you'll go to a restaurant and they're like, this is the birthplace of Bearnaise sauce or whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool to invent, like the Manhattan. When Michael Scott, everything relates to The Office, Michael Scott says, like, I invented this new drink. It's orange juice and vodka. And Jim's like, wow, it's really good.
No one's ever thought of that.
Yeah.
Quarantinis. Yes, everyone's having quarantinis.
Quarantinis, yes. If you're just joining, I'm Gretchen Rubin. This is Elizabeth Kraft. We're the host of the Happier podcast. And so we asked everybody if they were doing more cooking, less cooking, baking. Someone says my favorite sourdough recipe is for pancakes. Oh yeah, there's the whole sourdough thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But now let's jump into talking about our book club book, which is Home Cooking by Lori Coleman. And so Lori Coleman sadly did not live a long life. She died in 1992 in her 40s from cancer. But I will say she wrote a lot, because I have this many books of hers, and I don't even know that I have all of her books.
Wow.
but I have a lot of her books. So she did write a lot. She wrote a lot of novels, a lot of short stories, and then she did do essays. And if you liked home cooking, there's a book called More Home Cooking, which is very much in the same vein. It's the kind of thing that if you like it, maybe you would like more of it, because it's sort of like, it kind of just can keep going.
And these were published in magazines, weren't they?
Yeah.
Gourmet magazine and.
Yes, I think so. You know, actually, I should have like looked all that up and like refreshed my memory. I used to know, and now I don't. But maybe. And but you have the new edition, because sometimes the new republished editions have like the fun facts on the back more.
Yes, portions were published in Gourmet magazine, Inside magazine, and 7 Days magazine. So she was a food writer.
Yes,
and she loved food, obviously.
It's called A Writer in the Kitchen. But what I love about it is she loves food, but in kind of a non-foodie way, where, I mean, actually she says she's not a foodie, but she eats a lot of like very kind of bold food that I would not eat. So she does embrace a lot of food taste, but she also really loves nursery food, comfort food. You know, she's like buttered toast and tea is like, you know, and I relate to that side of her, where she's talking about, you know, the perfect rice pudding or whatever.
But I also like that she gives you permission to buy parts of the meal. You know, especially dessert. Gretch, I don't know if we have an order in which we want to talk about it, but I was going to read the first paragraph of the chapter titled Dinner Parties.
Yeah.
Because I talk so much about, you know, I talk all the time on the podcast about dinner parties and my desire to have dinner parties, my fear of dinner parties. Should I read what she said? Because it captures so much. Yeah. She said, okay, dinner parties. It is a fact of life that people give dinner parties. And when they invite you, you have to turn around and invite them back. Often they retaliate by inviting you again, and you must then extend another invitation. Back and forth you go like ping pong balls, and what you end up with is called a social life. And I just love that, because, you know, it just speaks to me and my sort of desire to invite people over, because all these people invite me over, and then I need to invite them over, and then they invite me again. And this is what I want in life, you know, to have friends. Who you invite over places.
Somebody else is saying, I love the dinner party chapter. Someone said, seemed like very 70s and 80s, like my mom and grandma cooked. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, and I think that's, I want to get back to your point, Elizabeth, about kind of the dinner party and the social, but just to that viewer's comment, I think what I really like about it too is I did feel like it was a real slice of time and place. Like, I think she's a great writer about New York City. That's one of the things I admire most, is like, I feel like you really get a sense of what it's like to be a West Side person in New York City. Whereas if you're in New York, East Side, West Side is like being Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, which Elizabeth, you and I grew up with. It's a vibe. It's an atmosphere. And she so captures New York City, Upper West Side. Trends of that time, and kind of the food, the fads and the cranks and all this, which, you know, probably most people think I'm a crank with my low carb stuff, so I can say that. So I think it does really capture that time, as somebody was saying. But to your point, Elizabeth, don't you feel like, I felt like that there was a funny kind of contradiction, because on the one hand, she kept saying, it's easy, don't sweat it. Like, I'm just in my studio apartment, like frying things up and, you know, like making a 10-course meal in a frying pan, and everybody loves it. But I'm like, but you're obviously really good at it. You're kind of stressing me out, because things that you're saying are like so easy. I couldn't do.
I will say, Gretchen, reading this book did not make me want to cook anything. Quite the opposite.
So listeners, did this make you want to cook? Like, let it thumbs up if this made you feel like cooking, and double thumbs up if you actually cook something in. We'll come back to that question. But Elizabeth, okay, talk about that. It did not make you want to cook.
It did not make me want to cook. Part of it probably is also because what our viewer mentioned, that, I mean, the food is very of its time.
Yes.
Most of these dishes are simply not things anybody would eat right now. I mean, they're just not, you know, I mean, she would be talking about quinoa salads and, just things that are light and more sort of fresh.
Yeah.
A lot of what she's talking about just sounds very heavy. Although I loved hearing about it. So it didn't make me want to cook because the food just wasn't appealing to me a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it just seems like so much work. I mean, she goes to all these different stores and she cooks things that take 2 days and she clearly loves it. And so that's awesome. Yeah. But it's like, it's her identity. It seems like as much as a writer, she really was a cook, a home cook.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, as I mentioned yesterday, my mother-in-law has her comments in it. This must have been my mother-in-law's copy at one time. And my mother-in-law is she is that kind of cook where, she likes to go to all the little stores. She sort of, and like in picking things up, kind of the errand running of it, kind of the civilization of it, sort of like, it's not like she's going down the street in a bicycle with a baguette sticking out of the basket in the back, but that's kind of the mental place she's in. And then cooking something that is multi-step, multi-layer, which for her, she's listening to music, she's listening to a podcast. She's just like, it's a super cozy, civilized way to live. It's so appealing in every way to me, except the fact that I would never do it myself. Same thing. My father-in-law loves fly fishing. Everything appeals to me about fly fishing, except actually fly fishing, which I would never, I've done once, Yeah. So she creates this warm, delightful vibe.
Gretsch, one of our viewers mentioned that the bread baking chapter, and I will say that is the one thing that sounded appealing was the bread baking, partly because she has such disdain for store-bought bread.
Yes.
She keeps saying the worst baked bread is a million times better than any bread you could buy in the store. And so she and her sort of her way of finding a bread that sort of fit her schedule, she talks about, as opposed to her having to follow the bread schedule.
Oh yeah.
I found very entertaining and appealing.
Yeah. Well, we should ask the basic question, which is how many people actually read the book? Give us a thumbs up if you have to read the book. Now, no guilt, of course, every book group, no guilt, because you can enjoy a book club discussion even if you haven't read the book. But I am curious to know if people did get to read the book.
Someone wants to try her potato salad recipes because she did have a few different, very yummy looking potato salad. I happen to love potato salad, so that did appeal to me.
I feel like potato salad, and I've been writing about this in my book about the senses and the body. There's certain foods that you only want from like the way your family ate it growing up.
Right.
Like you can't even, like the way your spouse's family, it's totally unacceptable. Or maybe there's like one like deli or restaurant or diner or whatever where it's like, okay, that is acceptable. It's not like, I would not go into like a random restaurant in a random city and randomly have that. It's like tuna salad. It's like,
well, stuffing is like that, which she also writes about. Stuffing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true of stuffing.
I don't think that my comments are refreshing because you said you were having internet problems, and I think I am too. Okay. Well, so if you can see the comments, Elizabeth, you fill us in.
Well, people are agreeing with you about that, your comments about food.
Oh, okay.
But what I think is really interesting is how she brings cooking down. Like you said, she's the way she doesn't describe herself as a foodie and how she talks about the different things she has in the kitchen.
I love that.
You don't need this. You don't need that. You don't need this. You should only buy them at garage sales. That to me was such a funny way of distinguishing what was, worth buying or not is could you get it at a garage sale?
Well, yeah. And she has that. Is that an essay or an appendix or something where she has the thing about like, what do you actually have to have? And it's like so practical in that it's
one of the essays. I think it's near the beginning. She talks about that.
Oh, maybe. But another thing that I really like about her style, and I was thinking that because of my love of aphorisms, I was thinking that maybe this is she kind of has these things like a truth that it kind of is like Jane Austen. There's a truth that everyone knows that the best food to eat in company is crabs or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she has these things There comes a time in every cook's life when he or she feels that he or she ought to make a stuffed breast of veal. I know this impulse well, for I have fallen prey to it. It's like, no, there's not. Like, or maybe she says in every cook's life. So she doesn't say in everybody's life, because I can say that the desire to make stuffed breast of veal, I would not order that. I would not eat that. I don't even know what that, it's beyond my conception. But I like the sweeping kind of Tolstoy, every family knows, it's a truth that all remark upon, you know. It's just a very it's like a very, I like that it's so self-assured and assumes community of kind of belief in a very kind of aphoristic way.
Gretsch, someone saying their favorite chapter, and this was a great chapter, was about the worst meals she's ever had.
Oh, I love that chapter.
She delights in a truly bad meal.
Yes.
That like they stay in your mind forever, a truly bad meal.
Oh, wait. And what was the thing that she said, like, these are the words that strike the terror in the hearts of everyone? It was something like,
I tried an interesting recipe.
Oh, right. Yes. Right. This is an experiment or something like that. Oh. I like how to disguise vegetables. I mean, they are very funny.
The funny thing is when she went to the person's house who was trying out a medieval recipe.
Yeah.
You know that's not going to go well.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
A medieval recipe is the last kind of recipe I ever want to eat.
Yeah.
Gretch, someone's asking, what tendency do you think Lori Coleman was?
You know, I couldn't tell. Does anybody have, you know, because you can't just look at what somebody does. You have to look at why they do what they do. And I felt like I didn't really have that much insight into a lot of the aspects of her nature. I thought she really, in a way, she seemed very revealing, but in another way, she was very distant or very private, I would say. So I didn't feel like I had a sense of it. I would be curious if anybody else felt like they got a glimmer of what her tendency was. I don't think she's a rebel, but I don't know.
Someone says questioner.
Oh, questioner, maybe a questioner because she's trying to figure out the right way to do things. If you're just joining, I'm Gretchen Rubin, and this is Elizabeth Craft. We're the hosts of the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast. And today it's our virtual book club. So we're talking about Home Cooking by Lori Coleman, a writer in the kitchen. And then I like more home cooking is a writer returns to the kitchen. Yeah. Like, I like these subtitles. And so we're talking about these essays. Yeah, and if you don't know what the tendencies are, as always, you can take the quiz at quiz.gretchenrubin.com to know what we're talking about. You know, I'm always tempted to go with obliger because then you have the numbers with you, because obliger is the biggest tendency, and it's unlikely if she were a rebel, we would know it. So, okay, you can eliminate that.
The amount she wrote suggests she might be an upholder because she was just clearly able to sit down and write.
Yeah, but she could have had deadlines. She could have had an agent or an editor who really worked on her. She might have needed the money for her family, you know, very obliger. Yeah, so that's the thing. You can't often look and see what someone has done. You have to understand their thinking or their process, because only that.
Yeah, the process.
Now, and by the way, I should mention that I'm still running my big sale on the 4 Tendencies course. It's only $25. So if that's gretchenrubin.com/4TC. I've been hearing from more and more people who are doing this. I think as people are safe at home, rubbing up against their loved ones morning, noon, and night, it seems to be that they are turning to the 4 Tendencies. So that's fun for me.
Another thing she sort of crystallized, which I found interesting, was sort of the food you eat at the end of a night. Like, maybe because I'm dealing with my whole pre-bed snack burst, but like there'd be a lot of things where she's like, there's nothing better than going out and having fun and then coming home and eating, you know, buttered toast, or I don't know, she would always talk about sort of what she would eat after the fact, or how she would like, it was nice to be alone because then you could have like the whole portion of something, you know, before bed. And it was just interesting. I guess we all haven't changed that much. We have the same habits.
Well, I like that she described like some huge meal, and then she said, and then you lie on the couch with a cup of coffee on your stomach. And I was like, that sounds so fun. And if you liked Lori Coleman and you like novels, I should mention a lot of her books are out of print, but they're very available, used copies, and I'm sure you could get e-versions, or I don't know if they're in audio or not. or like library copies, because she was a very prominent writer in her, but was a couple decades ago now. The one that I love, and Elizabeth, I know you love this book, is Happy All the Time.
I just recently reread it. It's so good.
It's the story of two couples. It's like two cousins, and then like their girlfriends and wives. And it's just a charming, sweet book, very happy book. And then Family Happiness is a really interesting book. Now, in my book club, my regular book club, we talk about middle marriage. And our favorite books to talk about are middle marriage books, which is like people who are in the middle of a marriage. And it's like the kind of the drama and what happens when you're in the middle of marriage. And so in Family Happiness, I would say is like it is truly a middle marriage book. And it's about middle marriage. It's not even like the middle marriage situation is in the background. This is about what are the challenges of middle marriage. And it's really good. So, and it's an amazing portrait of New York City. I have a friend where I'm like, this is her life. Like I've asked her, have you read this book? Because it seems like it's your life. I don't know that she notices that so much, but I definitely do.
Someone says middle marriage in COVID, the time of COVID. Yes.
Ooh, I'd buy that novel.
Yeah. People are definitely experiencing their marriages in whole new ways right now.
Well, yeah. Okay. Give us a thumbs up if you're feeling like this has given you kind of new insight or new patterns. I definitely feel that way with us.
Someone's asking the name of the middle marriage book, Family Happiness.
Family. Yeah. I'm sorry. These are always reversed. Family Happiness.
But I haven't read that one.
And she's another marvelous thing, Goodbye Without Leaving. If you like short stories, I'm not a huge short story person myself, but she also wrote a couple books of short stories. Yeah, she's kind of a cult novelist. I think it's like a lot of people sort of like, if that's the kind of thing you like, this is the kind of thing you like. It's kind of like Elizabeth von Arnhem, I think, where if that's what you like, then you just like want more and more of it. Or like, Robertson Davies, I would say, is kind of in that camp.
Gretchen, an interesting thing in the book is, again, of course, I'm drawn to the entertaining part of it, is that, like you were saying, she has this studio apartment when she's young, which totally reminded me of my studio apartment,
exactly.
Which was probably half a mile from where she was talking about, or at most like 3/4 of a mile. I had a studio I had a tiny kitchen. I never even attempted to cook, but I would entertain, I would have parties in there. And it's funny because it made me sort of think about how when we're young, we'll entertain with nothing and not think anything of it.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you feel very self-conscious about entertaining and a need to impress and a need to have it be good enough and fancy enough or pretty enough. And it sort of brought me back to that time of total confidence in entertaining, even though I had nothing to offer.
Well, I believe you had a cardboard box as your coffee table for quite some time.
I did. That was in LA. Yes.
That was in LA. No, I remember when it was a big deal where you were going to get your first dining room table and you're like, this is going to be like a whole new world for me.
Well, and then I didn't get it even. I couldn't settle on one. So I didn't end up getting one until Adam and I moved into our house. So yeah, I talked a lot about getting it, but I didn't get it.
But this is just a reminder that you and I repeat this to each other and ourselves constantly. And I feel like we just somehow are not internalizing it properly, which is that nobody cares. Nobody cares. They would rather you have the cardboard coffee table and the takeout pizza and have fun and play, words with, what is it?
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity. Yeah, you read my mind. You know what I mean? They don't care. And I've gone to people's houses where they're like, well, we're in the middle of a renovation, so we're just like all hunkered down and like, around a card table and folding chairs. People don't care. They just don't care. And they would rather get together and have fun. And they appreciate that you've done anything. And so I think it's easy to get caught up in sort of in our own heads.
Someone says music and company is all that matters. And
I don't even worry about the music. I don't even worry about the music. Yes. I do worry about where people sit. Like if there's like we've had a couple like dinner parties lately, and that I do put a lot of thought into.
And yeah, good for you. But yeah, she really cared about the food. But what was interesting is that she would it was like this, how to describe it. Her friends seemed to be part of her assessing of the meal. And they would be like, yeah, this didn't turn out, this did. They were all sort of part of her tasting group almost.
Yeah.
Which, again, not appealing to me, but I would be happy to be that for someone else.
Yeah. Well, if you read it, let us know in the like, did you like this atmosphere? I think this is a book, Elizabeth, that you and I like the atmosphere it creates more than any of the kind of specific content of it.
Right.
It's more of her outlook. And so let us know if you like that. And so
I loved, and if people have been mentioning this in the comments, she's just very witty. I mean, her dry wit to her writing that, is just delightful.
Yes. Yeah. No, she's a great writer. Even her, if you love great food writing, there's such a great history of food writing. I've been reading a lot of MFK Fisher lately. She wrote How to Cook a Wolf and other books, and they're strange. They're like strange memoirs / cookbooks / cultural things. I mean, at least the ones I've read. I think I'm skipping the ones that are more food centric, and I'm reading the ones that are more memoiry. But if you love food writing, there's like such a rich tradition of amazing. Elizabeth, maybe I'm having a thought for what our next book maybe should be.
Oh, good. Okay,
but
someone's saying a new book soon is requested. So
yes. So okay, put it in the comments if you have anything you want to suggest. If you think that there's a book that just like hit you right for this time, because I think a lot of people are saying this is not the time to pick up Anna Karenina. This is there's a certain kind of book that people want, but you want it to be a good book. You don't want to just read like something too much. A little fluff is good. Too much, then you start feeling like you want something more nourishing. So we want to be in that sweet spot. So we will pick the next book. Elizabeth, you and I will get on that and figure out what it is so people can get it ordered. Again, if you want to order from an indie, you can go to bookshop.org, which is kind of an indie clearinghouse, or you can shop at your usual indie. And now do you have any last words, Elizabeth, about the book? And then we'll do the accountability check-in.
Well, I just wanted to, a few people are saying that the dinner party discussion reminded them of Wild Game, which was our last book club, happier book club pick. That had a lot about food and the, food bringing people together or not, so I just thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah, because she emphasized over and over what a wonderful cook her mother was. Now my comments are picking up. For a long time, I wasn't getting any comments. But somebody was mentioning Ruth Reichel, who was she was a gourmet writer and then editor-in-chief of Gourmet. And she wrote Comfort Me with Apples, Save Me the Plums. She wrote a lot of memoirs. Comfort Me with Apples is a wonderful memoir if you like a food memoir. So this is great. Yeah, keep these things, these suggestions coming, because and someone says, can you also start an online children's book club? I don't know that I could do that, but I will remind you that I have my list of my 81 favorite works of children's literature and young adult literature. So if you like to read young adult or children's literature for yourself, or if you're looking for recommendations for a child, those are the books that I recommend, and all of them are fantastic. Like I just look at that list and it makes me happy because there's so many wonderful, wonderful books on that list. So now let's do accountability check-in. Oh yes, and Tender at the Bone is Ruth Reichel. Yes, Tender at the Bone. That might be in Garlic and Sapphires. Okay, everybody's read Ruth Reichel. Okay, she's great. Accountability check-in.
Yes.
Okay, we've been doing it. And there's our mother. Hello, Mom.
Our mother, who we should mention, is a great cook.
She is
an amazing cook, but we did not inherit her ability.
We did not. There's so many things, so many gifts of our mother that we just free ride off her, basically.
Yeah.
Christmas decorations.
All decorated.
All decorations. Yes. Many jeans were skipped, but I will say, but we appreciate it. We do appreciate. Now we appreciate it. So accountability check-in. what is it that you want to be held accountable for? Put it in the comments. If it is walking 20 and 20, if it's reading, if it's getting enough sleep, but and then also give yourself a gold star if you successfully did complete something that you're being held accountable for, like if you walked your 20 for 20, or you resisted the urge to snack burst, if you're in the snack burst team with Elizabeth.
Yes. I had a bad snack burst night last night. It's because, you know what, I walked 6 miles on the treadmill, and then, you know, that was good. And then my mind goes, oh, you deserve snacking.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's an ongoing.
Yeah.
I'm sure the people out there who struggle with this understand what I say when I say it's an ongoing situation.
Yes. Yes. But look, there's a lot of people writing at least 1 letter a day, resisting smoking. That's a really important one. Hold on to that one. That's good. Go to sleep early.
Finishing my scrapbook project.
Oh yeah. Clean a drawer.
Up on time.
Studying. My daughters are struggling with that. They really have. They actually have quite a lot of schoolwork. Oh, someone says, love your 4 tendencies book. Oh, thank you. That's very nice to hear. And oh yeah, sugar detox, walking daily. Oh, someone says, I've started walking 20 for 20. It feels great. And I've challenged myself to read 20 minutes a day. It's helped my focus. Now, remember, if you want a sheet where you can keep your don't break the chain written down, if you go to GretchenRubin.com/resources, there's like a 1 page that has all the months so that you can check off every day. And remember, you're never behind. Now is the right time to start. Yes. So you could jump in and walk 20 for 20 for the rest of the year. And look, we've already walked 100 miles. If you join today and walk to the end of the year, you'd walk 200 miles, right? Yes. So that's great. And then tomorrow it's going to be so fun. We're talking about silver linings.
Yes, we are making lists, and we challenge you all to do the same of what are some silver linings. For some people, obviously there won't be any. Yeah. But for those of us who are safer at home, who are writing this out, we are writing lists of things that came out of this that are good, things you are happy that you realized or that you want to keep. I mentioned seeing my doctor online rather than having to drive an hour to his office. And I'm making a list, Gretch, and there's, you know, a lot of things.
Yeah, there's things like, what can we gain from this? What can we learn that's going to make our lives happier, healthier, more productive, or more creative going forward? Because there's a lot of things that are not great, but then we're looking for the silver linings. And the hope is that we'll all make a huge realize, and then we'll learn from each other, and we'll realize something that we hadn't realized was working, or maybe we'll get ideas for things to try.
Yes. And it can be something practical like the telemedicine I was talking about, or something transcendent like, you know, more family time of a certain kind.
Right. Or I'm going to reorganize my schedule. Some people are asking, like, can you watch these later? So the thing is, yes, you can. So if you go to my profile and you hit it, you'll get a screen, and at the bottom, it'll say story and live. And if you hit live, then you can watch this for up to 24 hours. There doesn't seem to be a way that I can figure out to save it, but I'm still trying to figure out if there's a way to do that. But yeah, you can watch these later. And you don't have to have joined it now. It's not like you have to join at some point when it's live. You can see it up for 24 hours later. So that's fun. Oh, somebody says Rob Lowe. Yes, we're both big fans of the writing of Rob Lowe, which kind of surprises me every time I hear myself saying that, but it's true. Someone says save to YouTube. I'm not sure I can save to YouTube. Save to highlights. I don't know. I got to investigate all this. So I will explore.
Apparently the key someone was saying is you have to save it to highlights as you sign off.
But see, here's the thing. People keep saying that, but it doesn't give me any of those options. I don't know if it's because it's longer, so there's no options. It doesn't there's not like a menu of things to do. Long. It's like, you know, share or delete kind of thing. It says Katie Kirk saves to YouTube every day. Okay, yeah, ask your daughter. Right? Yes, I do have an IT person. There is a way to save. Okay, or highlights. Could you Screen record your own phone, maybe. Go to on demand on your website. Save to on demand. Okay. Google it. Well, yes, I know. That's the, yeah, ask Eliza. It's funny. One of my favorite aphorisms that somebody said to me is, we all have the same internet, meaning, why are you asking me what the hours of the Metropolitan Museum are? Because I will just have to look it up on the internet and you have the same internet. Yeah. Okay, someone says it should be saved in my archive. I've looked there because I have it set in the settings. It says save to camera roll, save to archive, but I don't see it there. Anyway, okay.
A mystery.
But thank you, everyone, for your thoughts. I will investigate. Yeah, because I love having an archive of everything. So, yes. Okay. So be thinking of your silver linings, because that's what it is tomorrow. And then Thursday, I'm going to be joined by Melissa Hartwig Urban, who's, of course, well known for Whole30, everything Whole30, and also the Do the Thing podcast. And so she's going to be talking about, all things happier. Okay, everyone. Keep those comments about possible books coming, because that's a treasure trove as well for people.
Yes, and we'll announce one soon.
Yes. Okay, everyone. Let's keep our hands clean and our minds clear. Bye.
Bye.